In 1959, a general election in Britain brought in a Conservative government with Harold Macmillan as Prime Minister. Macmillan accepted that there was a political wind of change blowing through Africa that Britain had to accept. Even as Macmillan was signalling a major policy shift by the British government on the fate of British colonial rule, Colonial Secretary Ian MacLeod was already huddled at Lancaster House, London, with all of Kenya's LegCo members in a constitutional conference that started on the 18th of January 1960, seeking to chart out Kenya's future political development. For the first time, there were real prospects of Africans taking over political power in Kenya. MacLeod proposed that the Africans would have 33 of the 65 elected seats in the proposed new Legislative Assembly, or LegCo. They would also have 4 government ministers as opposed to 3 for Europeans. For the first time, there would be a common electoral roll for the general election that would precede self-government in Kenya. Not exactly the adult suffrage African leaders had been clamoring for, but much better than the limited franchise system that had earlier brought 14 African members into the LegCo. If the African delegates accepted the deal, MacLeod said, Kenya would well be on its way to becoming an independent nation. The delegates at the Lancaster House Conference accepted MacLeod's constitution proposals, and in the new interim government that was later formed, Ronald Ngala would take over Labour, Social Security, and Adult Education. Dr. Julius Kiano, Commerce and Industry. James Muimi, Health and Welfare. And Taita Towet would become Assistant Minister for Agriculture. It looked like a step in the right direction towards bringing Africans finally into power. In reality, however, it marked the beginning of a major rift amongst the African elected leaders. In March 1960, a new African political party, the Kenya African National Union (KANU), was formed, with James Gishuru as president, Oginga Odinga as vice president, and Tom Mboya as Secretary General. It was agreed that Gishuru would step down from the party presidency for Jomo Kenyatta when the latter was released from detention by the colonial government. A few weeks later, a rival party, the Kenya African Democratic Union (KADU), was formed with Ronald Ngala as president, Masinde Muliro as vice president, and Daniel Arap Moi as chairman. The battle lines were now drawn for the elections that would be conducted in February 1961 to lead Kenya to self-government under the new MacLeod constitution. In those elections, KANU won 19 seats out of a total of 33 seats, garnering 67% of the vote compared to KADU's 11 seats gained from 16% of the vote. But though victorious, KANU refused to form a government until Kenyatta had been released. The governor, Sir Patrick Renison, managed to persuade KADU to enter into a coalition with the Asian and European elected members to form a minority government with Ngala as chief minister. In April 1961, the government moved Kenyatta from detention at Lodwar to Maralal. On August 14th, Kenyatta returned home under restriction and was released a week later. For a while, Kenyatta tried to bring KANU and KADU together, but on 28 October, after failing in his reconciliation efforts, he accepted the presidency of KANU, from which Gishuru now stepped down. In January 1962, Kariuki Njiri relinquished his Murang'a Legislative Assembly seat in favor of Kenyatta, who went on to be elected unopposed in the ensuing by-election. Kenyatta was now leader of the majority party as well as a member of the legislature.